All right, Coach, week one on the way here. You guys just got done with your off-season workouts, just got back from camp. How do you think that went for the team? You know, you've obviously got a large crop of returners. How do you think they responded to this off-season program, and how do you think they improved over the course of your training camp?
Yeah, they did really well. I think across the board we saw most athletes run higher mileage than they ever have been before, and we bumped our workouts back a little bit in the summer. You know, all we can do is give them a guide, really, and we say, here's the kind of mileage we think you can be running over the summer, and here's a potential progression of workouts. And ultimately everybody's on a different schedule between internships and summer jobs and even just where they end the season. And so when we look across the board, everybody, I think, did a great amount of work, and we just had our preseason camp. We had a couple really hard workouts, and very pleased to see where the group as a whole is right now.
Yeah, you guys obviously have a large crop of experienced athletes returning, but also a lot of talented newcomers who are going to join the team, not only on the true freshman side, but also a lot of runners coming off red shirts who had impressive summers. What do you think we can expect to see from that group of runners?
Well, that's a good question. So being a redshirt freshman now going into the sophomore year, you've got one full year of experience under your belt. So if we look at, for example, Charlie Harders and Alex Tam on the guys' side, you know, they had great outdoor track seasons. Both of them ran really well. They were point scorers at the outdoor conference meet. Those two in particular, along with Katie Vittu on the women's side, they made it to the USA Track and Field U20 meet. So they competed really late into the summer. It was a little interesting. We had already taken time off, and then we revamped them up a little bit for a competition. But all three of them are showing real promise. Realistically, we look across the board, both men's and women's teams. I don't know if I could tell you who our top 5 is. I definitely can't tell you who our top 9 is. Who are we going to bring to the MAC championships? I think we're really deep in both teams right now.
So obviously, in addition to a lot of strong men's returners, you've got a lot coming back on the women's side. Can you talk about some of the athletes there and what we should look for?
Yeah, I think one of the key things is that we're healthy right now, and carrying that health into the bulk of the season and through the postseason is obviously key to success for the team. Carly Davis is one of our top athletes, and she was managing a lot of pain last year. This year she's healthy. She's had some of the best long runs she's had in a long time, and she's doing really solid work in our workouts. She should be one of our top runners, but what we're seeing is that some of our younger athletes and some of the athletes that are now sophomores, if you look at McKenna Fry, Katie Vittu, and Emma Bryant is going to be sophomore eligibility. She is really strong. All three of them are really strong, and they're actually hanging right there with our top athletes, our top returners. It's to the point where, you know, just like on the men's side, I couldn't tell you what our top 5 are going to be by the end of the year, but each one of them is pushing each other right now to make this team even stronger than I thought that we were going into this season.
Yeah, and speaking of MAC championships, the conference preseason poll was just announced. Both men's and women's teams rated really highly. The men unanimously picked to win the conference. The women picked third. Do you think maybe the vibe or the confidence around the team is any different, considering the tremendous success they had last year and now coming into this season as some of the favorites?
Definitely. If we look at last year, if we talk about the men, you know, they won the title last year. Eastern Michigan had won, I believe, 8 years in a row before then, and there's been this stigma. There's been this wall and some limitation that we had. I think that we knew the year before that we were a good team, and we thought that we had a chance to win that year as well. I think when we finally crossed the line and we knew that we had won, it was a big relief more than anything. They definitely celebrated. They had a lot of fun doing that. But now I feel like we're entering this year with a completely different type of attitude. We can't take it for granted. Eastern Michigan's a strong team. Akron's got some great runners. The conference in general has some really solid runners, but we are strong right now, and I think we're finally at that point where we're about to make even a bigger jump with the returners that we have and with the depth that we have.
Yeah, and you guys are kicking things off with a bang here this weekend in Oxford. A lot of Power 5 schools will be in attendance, so it's a strong field. How do you think the team will respond to going against such strong competition right off the bat?
Yeah, it's always interesting. The first meet of the year, we've got Indiana, Kentucky, and Ohio State are in attendance, and then we're in the mix as well. I think the first meet is always a little bit more relaxed. Typically with my time at Indiana and talking to the coaches, we're probably going to kind of relax the first half of the race and then race the last half of the race. We know that nothing counts for points towards the national meet right now, but it's also a chance to get out there and test our athletes, and so we don't want to miss that opportunity. But there's almost a gentleman's agreement to get out there and don't race from the gun, but it also makes it really exciting towards the end of the race because you're sitting there watching. There's a lot of anticipation built up, and you just never know. For me in particular, I really like to see our freshmen be in the mix because sometimes they need that confidence. Like, this is my first collegiate race. I'm in uniform. I'm up there with the big guys, the big names that they know, and they get a chance to go out there and mix it up at the end of the race too. And so, I mean, that's, I think, one of the exciting things that we have right now is some newcomers on the team. Emily Aiken is a transfer from Kentucky, and she's running really well right now. And then we have Elena Pozman, is a Croatian athlete, and Jenna Sale on the women's side. A lot of potential there, and we just don't know what to expect from any of them. If we look at the men's side, for example, we've got Opsa Feta and Max Manley, Andrew Schroff, Dan Conway, Nick Saul. We've got 5 freshmen that are phenomenal. So it's going to be fun to see what they can do.
All right, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you.